Hello friends, welcome to new episode of Drishti IAS Editorial Analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. We link the editorial to the UPSC Civil Services exam syllabus. We look at the key points mentioned in the editorial. And we also look at some of the key concepts. So let us begin today's editorial analysis. The editorial that we have selected today has appeared in the Hindu on 6th of April. The title is Mockery of Justice. It deals with Pakistan's commitment to punishing those involved in terror acts. Now let us link the editorial to the UPSC syllabus. It directly links with GS paper 2 because international relations is concerned. It is talking about Pakistan. Under that, India and its neighborhood relations. It also talks about this important organization FATF in the editorial. So this important international institutions, it is also linked with this. Also has a linkage with GS paper 3 where we have security or internal security. And under this, we have this role of external state and non-state actors in creating challenges to internal security. So it has link with both GS2 and GS3. Now let us look at the key points that have been mentioned in the editorial. The editorial says that Pakistan's commitment to punish terrorist acts remains suspect because Pakistan itself is a sponsor of terrorism. It has been a sponsor of terrorism for a long time now. It has been creating trouble in various parts of India for long. Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab earlier, and many other states. The Sindh High Court has overturned the conviction of Omar Sheikh for murdering the American journalist Daniel Pearl due to lack of evidence. Daniel Pearl was a journalist who was working with the Wall Street Journal, which is an American newspaper, and Daniel Pearl was investigating the role of terrorist organizations operating within Pakistan and their link with outfits like Al-Qaeda of Osama bin Laden. So he was doing a lot of work which was not pleasing the Inter-Services Intelligence Agency ISI of Pakistan. And we know that ISI works hand in glove with the terrorists operating from Pakistan, especially against India. Daniel Pearl was abducted in Karachi in 2002 and later on he was killed by the terrorists. And this whole operation was planned by this person Omar Sheikh, who is a British national and who has links with Pakistani militant groups. The Sindh High Court has overturned the verdict of a lower court which had convicted him on account of lack of evidence. But the editorial says that this lack of evidence was very much there because the Pakistani establishment do not want him to be convicted because they are also complicit in the terrorist acts. The editorial says that due to the American pressure, Omar Sheikh surrendered and he was convicted by the lower court only because of the American pressure, because that time America had started its war on terror and it was pressurizing Pakistan to help it in its operation against Al-Qaeda and Taliban in Afghanistan. But now with this Sindh High Court's verdict, Pakistani authorities also realize that this is going to lead to lot of international criticism against Pakistan and maybe some action by the FATF as well. So they have for now extended Omar's custody and said that the High Court ruling will also be appealed in the Supreme Court. But all these moves seem to be aimed at blunting the international opprobrium, adverse reaction that has been raised by this acquittal of Omar Sheikh. Also, Pakistan is worried that the FATF may take some action against it. FATF has already placed it in the grey list. Now what is FATF? We'll see it in more detail later on. But for now we should know that it is a global money laundering and terrorist financing watchdog. It maintains two kinds of list, grey list and blacklist. Only two countries are in the blacklist, which are Iran and North Korea. Now India has also said that it will bring this matter to the Financial Action Task Force. India is a member of FATF and India has been putting pressure on FATF to declare Pakistan in the blacklist. But the editorial further says once the international pressure eases, maybe Omar and his cohorts means his accomplices, his partners in crime. So there were three others who are also accused along with him. So they will also be released. Editorial further says that Pakistan's record of leniency in dealing with terrorism and terrorist acts is both consistent and alarming. Now consistent is usually used in a positive manner, but here it is used in a negative way. That Pakistan has been consistent in not tackling terrorism head on, in not tackling terrorism in the right manner. In fact, it has been supporting terrorist activities. So it gives example also that in 2015, Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, who was a mastermind of the 26/11 Mumbai attacks, he was released from detention and he remains free till this day. March 2020, the Pakistani authorities said that the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar has conveniently gone missing along with his family. How can this happen under the nose of Pakistani establishment without their complicity in these kind of activities? The Pakistani establishment is hand in glove with the terrorists. Finally, the editorial makes this point that the Pakistan has to move beyond tokenism in its fight against terrorism. It will not do to only say that we are the worst sufferers of terrorism, but Pakistan will have to show more resolve. It will need to show more robust commitment in its fight against terrorism for its words to be taken seriously by the international community. India has been a long time sufferer of the terrorism and terrorist acts emanating out of Pakistan, and India has been putting pressure on all the international forums that Pakistan is a key sponsor and exporter of terrorism and it should be put in the FATF blacklist so that it gets a lesson and curbs its terrorist activities. So this is all in the editorial. Now let us look at the FATF in detail. Before learning about Financial Action Task Force, let us learn about money laundering, because money laundering is a concept that is critical to understanding the concept of or the role of Financial Action Task Force. Now, what is money laundering? Money laundering is concealing or disguising the identity of illegally obtained proceeds so that they appear to have originated from legitimate sources. It is frequently a component of other much more serious crimes such as drug trafficking, robbery or extortion. And according to International Monetary Fund, global money laundering is estimated between 2 to 5% of world GDP. Now this is a very big figure. So what is happening in money laundering includes 3 steps: placement, layering and integration. So placement is about putting the dirty money into the legitimate financial system. Layering conceals the source of the money through a series of transactions and bookkeeping tricks. And the third step is integration, where the laundered money is withdrawn from the legitimate account to be used for criminal activities. Now let us go back to our discussion of FATF. FATF is an intergovernmental organization established in 1989 by the G7 summit in Paris. This is an important PT fact, that it was started by a G7 summit in 1989 which was held in Paris. Organization has been established to set standards. So basic role of FATF is to set standards which promote effective implementation of measures which are legal, regulatory and operational to combat money laundering, terrorist financing and other such threats to the integrity of the international financial system. So the aim of FATF is to secure the integrity of the international financial system, because we realize finance is critical for any activity and more so for any terrorist activity. If you cut off the sources of finance, then you cut off the terrorist activities. So if you stop financing of the terrorist activities, terrorism automatically stops. Now FATF is basically a policy making body that works with governments to bring about national legislation and regulatory reforms in these areas. The decision making body of FATF is called the FATF plenary. So this is the topmost decision making body and it meets thrice in a year. Currently FATF has 38 members, which includes 36 countries or jurisdictions. EC stands for European Commission and Gulf Cooperation Council. India has been a member since 2010 and earlier in 2006 it got the observer status in FATF. Now FATF maintains 2 kinds of list. One is the FATF blacklist and the other is FATF grey list. So the official name is non-cooperative countries or territories, and it is a list of countries considered to be non-cooperative in the international fight against terrorist financing and money laundering. FATF grey list. It includes countries that are considered safe haven. Safe haven means these are providing security and a safe sanctuary for those organizations or individuals who are supporting terror funding and money laundering. Pakistan is currently in the grey list and India has been trying to get it into the blacklist. The most important thing from UPSC perspective was this Financial Action Task Force. So we have covered it in detail in the concepts to learn. Other thing to keep in mind is the Pakistan's connection with terrorism, which is also a part of the syllabus in terms of India-Pakistan relations and how terrorism impacts the relationship. This is all for today's editorial analysis. See you next time with another editorial. Thank you.